Welcome back to Elysium for what may be the final episode or perhaps the penultimate one. We're quite close to finishing our mission tree. We just need to essentially take a large amount of European territory. We've completed 3 of our triumphs, the one for Iberia, the one for Anatolia, the one for Britain, and I think we're going to immediately attack the Ottoman and potentially complete the Egyptian and perhaps the Balkan triumph. Are there any provinces that the Ottomans control that are required for the triumph? I'm not sure. Yes, actually, we do need to take this province to complete the triumph. So I think we're just going to immediately declare war on the Ottomans with our new and improved Imperial Conquest CB. One thing we can do is once we complete this mission, our CB will get upgraded again and make it even cheaper to both take land and reduce the aggressive expansion from doing so. We do need to take Rome for that though, but we can take Rome literally whenever. Currently there's a large-scale war going on in Europe between Russia, who is both attacking Denmark and fighting Austria because the King of Spain died and Austria gained a personal union on them, which makes it tempting for me to kind of invade Austria because we need to take Spanish land and we need to take Austrian land. I think we'll leave them for now though and just attack the Ottoman. One other thing we can do is challenge the Emperor, which we're eventually going to, well, we don't necessarily need to do, but we're going to do it anyway. The Emperor is pretty small at the moment, just this one location minor, but they'll bring in lots of countries we can take land from. But let's see about defeating the Ottomans first. We'll declare war, Imperial Reconquest CB. Should we call anyone in? I guess we might as well. Jaunpur over here, for example, has quite a few men, as does Gujarat. Hopefully they'll provide the necessary support. Pretty big battle here between us and the Ottomans. Ooh, one of the, looks like some of the guys we were hiring got killed by a Lubeck army. Surprised they came all the way over. They are being sieged down as well. We might full annex them just to get them out. We should beat back the Ottomans here at least. Yep. We took a lot more casualties than they did, but this army is nearly all mercenaries, except for these few regiments of non-mercenaries, so I'm not really that bothered about mercenaries taking casualties. Let's go deal with those guys sieging Constantinople. We've taken their capital, so we are getting ticking war score. I do kind of want to take the maximum 100% from the Ottomans in this war, just because this actually may be the last war we need to fight with the Ottomans in order to complete our mission tree. So it'd be nice if we could, fully take them out. We'll annex Lubeck whenever we can. We're just waiting on this siege. We could piece them out without taking the siege, but I'd like to fully integrate them. We can release our North German exarchate in Lubeck land. Alright, there goes Lubeck. We'll annex them. It's going to make people unhappy, but I don't really care. We'll then release our North German exarchate to govern the land for us. How's the situation with the Ottoman? We're still quite far from them being willing to accept a peace, so we're just going to have to keep sieging them down and stack wiping them until they accept their rightful place. It's annoying because their nation's so big that we need to siege down a lot to really increase our war score, but there's nothing much we can really do about it. It just has to be done. I always do wonder why the AI splits their armies up into these tiny stacks. Maybe it's not that they're splitting them up, but they're recruiting them on the fly and not being able to bring them all together fast enough. It's kind of weird seeing the swarms of just tiny units everywhere though. Ah, Austria joined the coalition against us. This is the first time a coalition I think has formed for a while. They're going to pull lots of people in. Should we immediately react to this? We could challenge the false emperor. This will bring in Austria, for example, which would prevent the coalition growing too large. It's only got 4 people in right now. Let's do it, I think. Let's challenge the false emperor. This puts us in a war with the Holy Roman Empire and many of the Holy Roman members. We'll see if we can't extract land from them. What we'd really want to do is just annex anyone and everyone who joins the war, as long as they're small enough to be annexed, obviously. It really shouldn't be a big deal. The moment we're done with the Ottomans, we'll just turn our vast armies towards the coalition and see about dealing with them. The Ottomans will hopefully surrender soon. We've done quite a bit of damage to them, both via occupations and war. They have occupied a bit of territory in the south here. Let's call Kilwa in and some of the other nations down here. They at the very least can liberate this territory that the Ottomans have occupied and maybe occupy their southern territories. Austria is a bit of an exception to our war in the HRE. We'd kind of like to white peace them as soon as possible. They're still pretty weak from the war with the Russians, but we want to take a lot of their land that we need to take, and we can't take it via this war. So as I said, white piecing them out is going to be the name of the game for them. Here's a large battle. We're probably going to lose this one just because there's double our numbers and there's more enemy reinforcements coming in. Still a pretty big battle though, and it's actually surprisingly close. I feel like it is just because of the constant enemy reinforcements that we're going to lose here. But it's not a big deal. We'll just pull back. Thing is, they were able to bring all of their armies together for that big fight. Will they be able to do so again? The AI isn't really good at bringing together all its armies. There we go, the Ottomans have finally conceded. We're going to take all of their Egyptian territory, well, not all. Enough that we should be able to complete the triumph. Then we'll take some of the Middle Eastern territory and as much Balkan land as we can. Unfortunately, the Polish declared independence while we were fighting and they occupied a few provinces, so we're not going to be able to take them ourselves. But it's fine, we'll take pretty much exactly what we need. That's them dealt with. We can set up a new exarchate for the northern part of the Balkans, plus Albania. We'll also set up an exarchate in Egyptus, and then one in Syria to govern the Holy Land on our behalf. Not that it's a particular Holy Land for us, right? And we only took one location in it, but we can set up a tiny little Pannonia exarchate. It's not going to be too long until they expand, actually, because we plan to take some land from Hungary. Now let's bring all of our armies over towards Constantinople, and from there we'll march into Europe proper. As discussed, doing that should allow us to complete 2 of our triumphs, giving us quite a bit of progress. Here's the Syrian triumph. Now we also have an event related to the Albanians. You may recall a long time ago we brought them with us to Elysium. Now we can help them return home. So we'll release old Skanderbeg's descendants to govern Albania on our behalf. They'll also start converting the Albanians in these provinces to the Elysian Albanian. I believe they'll also convert the other cultures like the Serbians, Bosnians, Dalmatians. As you can see, they get a modifier which angers these cultures a little bit as they don't like being culture converted. Alright, Hungary's had enough. Hungary's one of those countries we want to take vast swathes of territory from, and since we can't in this war, we're just going to white peace them, I think. They're pretty weak. They only have one ally, so we should just be able to jump them the moment the truce ends and potentially annex their whole country depending on the situation. Now we just need to siege through this Austrian territory and then we'll white peace them. There we go, we've taken their capital. That should hopefully be enough. No, not quite. They're very close to saying they've had enough though. There we go, the Austrians have had enough. As discussed, we'll just white peace them so that in the future we can strike them relatively quickly. Now, Tuscany, they're another nation we want to take a lot of land from. We basically need to take... Well, I don't know, let me actually check. We need to take Rome, goes without saying. Milan, which... Do they own Milan? It doesn't like it. Nope, Milan is controlled up here by Spain, so we can cross that one off. Ravenna, they also control. And then we need around 26 provinces in Italy outside of those 3. What's the max we could get from them? Let's say Rome, Ravenna, that's 2. So we could get around 7 provinces. That's not enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to make peace with them, almost a white peace. We're going to have them end their alliance with Austria. And then we're going to hopefully hit them the moment the option is available and take large swathes of territory. To be fair, I feel like I say that about everybody. We're going to annex a lot of these little free cities that are around. Not much reason to keep them alive. And then we'll release our Germania exarchate to manage the land. Now, Bohemia. They don't actually control any of the land we need. Or at least I don't think so. No, doesn't like it. Unless they have a province in Carpathia. Well, actually, we need provinces in southern Germany. I don't think they actually control any, though. They only control provinces in northern Germany. With that said, I guess we don't need to take anything from them. But we are going to take things from them because we don't need to take anything, so we should take everything, is my logic. We'll take basically the max they're willing to give us and send them out. We can now set up our northern, or we can now set up our Polish exarchate, although we're not really in Poland here, at least not yet. Salzburg's also surrendered, so we'll get rid of them. Mainz here is quite large, and they do have quite a few provinces in southern Germany. Could we take all of their southern German provinces? We could, so I guess we will. We've defeated the Papal State, we'll send them off. Who knows where they'll show up next? They could literally appear anywhere. Our truce with Hungary is now over, I think. Actually, no. It looks like it ends next year. For some reason I thought it was this year. Hungary has managed to get an alliance with Russia. which does complicate things. It means if we go to war with Hungary, Russia's going to drag it out. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get Russia to abandon them. It'd be really nice if we could, but it doesn't seem likely. Ah, well, I guess we won't lose any sleep over it. It's just something that's going to have to happen. One of the features I definitely miss from EU5 is being able to take over sieges. When our vassals are in control of the siege, unfortunately, the best way to deal with it is just to tell them to go away so they abandon the siege and we can take control of it. It's definitely annoying to have to do, though. At the very least, this war is very relaxed for us because really we're just killing time until our truces expire. So it doesn't really matter that this war's taking a little while, although we're having to siege down all these forts. One of the nice things is all these forts we're sieging down are going to become our forts that will be under the control of our exarchates, and so our future enemies will have to siege them down as well, which will make their lives harder. Sweden's also involved in the war. We'd like to take the maximum amount of land we can take from them. We don't need any Swedish land for our mission tree, but it'd be nice to take some of this northern territory. Creating more exarchates is always worth it. There's our truce with Hungary expired, so we're going to declare war, and as discussed, unfortunately Russia's going to come in. We'll have to see whether we actually end up needing to fight them much. Hypothetically, if we do just enough damage to Hungary, and of course we don't full annex them, they should just surrender. We'll have to see how it goes though. Hungary is currently at war with Denmark because Russia's attacking them. Who knows, maybe Russia will take enough damage that they're willing to white peace us? We'll just have to see how it goes. I really don't want to invest too much time fighting Russia though. In a year's time, our truce with Austria ends and we'll immediately attack them, regardless of the situation. And we're going to do the same thing with Tuscany the year after that. So we're very much in a, just seeing how things goes phase. And on that note, Maine has had enough. We're done with our war with the Emperor. We're just continuing to fight Sweden. Once they're done, we can immediately make peace and shatter the Empire. When we do, we'll also annex the Emperor. Not much reason to leave him around. There's our truce with Austria over. Unfortunately, we can't attack them because they're part of the Empire and we're at war with the Emperor, so we're just going to make peace with the Emperor now. I did want to keep continuing the war to beat up Sweden, obviously, but we shouldn't delay ourselves because of that, because after all, defeating Sweden and taking land up here in Scandinavia is a optional objective. But we'll release the exarchate there for the time being, and then we'll annex / destroy the Holy Roman Empire. That allows us to complete this mission, neither Holy nor Roman. Because we dismantled it, we get the Undisputed Claims modifier for the rest of the game. And now we're going to declare war on Austria, of course using our Imperial Reconquest CB. They're going to call in Britain. Did they re-ally with Tuscany? They're not allied, but for some reason Tuscany's going to join. Is that correct? Why is Tuscany going to join? Oh, Tuscany's the defender of the Catholic faith. That's why, okay. So that's why Tuscany would join, but they're also calling in Britain, Lithuania, Oldenburg. Britain we don't really need to concern ourselves with. We'll probably just ignore them and eventually white peace them. We do need to take Maghreb land in this war. We need to take land in Tunis specifically. We also need southern German land, including Vienna. And we also need Paris and a few other locations. We also need Milan that's under the control of Spain. We'll have to see if we can get that all done in this war. We might have to truce break Austria, depending on whether we can achieve all of it. We'll see how things go, obviously. Venice has immediately formed a coalition against us, so we're actually going to attack them. Since the Holy Roman Empire is now gone, and their two allies, well, their ally of Britain and Tuscany, who is of course protecting the Catholic faith, is busy, there's no one really to protect them outside of Brandenburg and Landshut. We just need to wait until a month has passed until the war was started with Austria. And there we go. It looks like only 2 people joined the coalition with them, Mulhouse and Frankfurt. We might be able to just annex both of those. We'll, of course, as always, as I continuously say, see how things go. And it looks like Hungary has peaced out with Denmark. That's excellent. Now we can blanket siege / occupy their whole nation. Hopefully, occupying their whole nation is enough to make them make peace with us without us having to go off and defeat Russia. It could very much go either way, though. I think if anyone forms a coalition against me at this point, I'm just going to declare war on them, especially if they don't really have any allies or protectors. There's no reason to leave these tiny nations that dare think they can oppose us around, who dare think they can oppose us, continue to exist. It will be a little inconvenient for my allies as it will black flag them, but I mean, we're not really relying on our allies to win our wars. We're winning them ourselves, right? Alright, we could make peace with Hungary right now. Just let me count. We need to take, or do we? Yes, we need to take 15 provinces in Carpathia, one being Pest. We currently don't control Pest, so that's kind of out there. We already control one here. So 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could hypothetically just take this and then Pest from Austria to achieve the 15 we need. We of course do need some Balkans provinces from them though. I believe we need 7. So let me just count again. This would be enough, I think. This would be enough for us to achieve our goal. And I do want to kind of piece them out without waiting too long because we are at war with Russia, and Russia, I imagine, is just going to make things a little difficult. I mean, are they? They're not currently doing anything against us. They're busy fighting Denmark. We could afford to drag out the war with Hungary longer and see if we could take more, but I guess we don't need more. And if we don't need more, there's no reason to really drag it out, right? Just take what we need and get out. Then we can focus on countries we do actually need to defeat. So that should allow us to complete the Balkans triumph at least. Here's a large battle. We're probably going to lose this one. We do have reinforcements coming in. I'm not sure they'll be able to help even if they arrive in time though. It might be close. Actually, I think we might win if the reinforcements get in. Yeah, we're going to win. Alright, we push them back. The Austrians and the Spanish are actually bringing all of their armies together in a very large stacks. It'd be great if we could catch those stacks and do some big damage, obviously. Problem is that, of course, is their nation is very forted up. So we need to cut through these millions of forts to actually grab them. Alright, Britain's willing to make peace. We could continue the war and potentially get them even further down. But, well, we want Maghrebi land. And that's what they have. And they're not willing to surrender just yet. Maybe we'll continue the war a bit. And see if we can't get them to accept giving up more territory. One of the annoying things here is that Austria is at war with Bohemia right now. And Bohemia's slipped in and occupied quite a few provinces we want for ourselves. Our truce ends with Bohemia in 4 years. If we're still at war with Austria when that happens, we'll probably declare war on Bohemia. I suppose what we could do right now is we could declare war on Denmark, who's allied with Bohemia. But I'd further give them the chance to make peace with Austria instead of declaring war on them right now. Might be a mistaken sort of ideal, but it's what we're going for. Alright, I think we're going to peace out Britain. I don't think we're going to be able to get up enough war score. Or at least it's going to be hard for us to because they've managed to defeat our vassal in England. I actually thought our vassal would do a lot better. Seems not though. So we're going to peace them out. We're going to leave them with all but one of the Maghrebi provinces. Hopefully that's enough. We'll need to take 6 provinces. One of them must be Tunis from Spain. And then we'll have achieved that goal. We are starting to run out of manpower though. Feels crazy to say, but we've been being a little too liberal with the lives of our soldiers, since I am rushing a little bit. But be that as it may, we're likely not going to stop. Ooh, we took Venice, and now we have an option of what to do with the place. We could just destroy Venice. There's not really any benefit to doing so, I guess, as money. Because we took the Venetians with us back in the day, we also have the option to turn it into a hub for us. So I guess we'll do that. Gives us a special modifier for controlling Venice. We're going to peace out the Lithuanians. We'll take about this. Fortunately, this land's very cut off, so our subjects, in fact, this subject has actually become a revolutionary. That's kind of funny. But we'll set up a new nation here to govern the land on our behalf. Now we just need to deal with the Austrians, Spanish, and the Tuscans. The Tuscans are pretty much done. We just need to occupy them. Annexing the Spanish and the Austrians is going to be more of a thing, though. I'm sure we can overcome them, though. We finally defeat the Tuscans. We're going to take Rome, Ravenna, push them back. I do have a question, though. Should we just immediately attack them again? Well, first of all, let's complete the old gods. We can now become a defender of faith. Christian, Muslim, and Jewish provinces are no longer resistant to us. Also, Rome becomes a center of the faith for us. And we can build a pantheon building in Rome itself, which will probably just immediately rush up. But as I was saying, should we immediately attack Tuscany again to take more of that Italian land? We still need 17 provinces in Italy, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to take them all from Spain. So I'm thinking we will immediately jump them again. It's going to be a truce break, but that's of course a small price to pay. We've actually got the Conquest of Rome event here. We can decide what to do with Rome. We could give it back to the Papal State if we wanted to. We could sack Rome, which will make everyone who's a Catholic or a Christian unhappy, but there aren't that many left, are there? I mean, there's not many nations left in the world who aren't our subjects, but I don't think there's that many Catholics and Christians who don't already massively hate us left in the world. I think we'll take the lesser option though. The city must be returned to its former glory. As I mentioned, we're going to immediately break our truce with Tuscany and declare war on them again. Annoyingly, Bohemia is still at war with Austria, and as such, we're not quite able to take all the land we might want to take. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to declare on Marchen once the truce is over, or not the truce, once the month has passed from starting a war. That will call in Denmark. Next, we're going to declare war on Bremen here. This will call in Bohemia. That way we can circumnavigate the truce between us, and we can see about liberating the land that the Bohemians have occupied that we do need, like Pest here. Now, we should probably start thinking about what we actually want from Austria and Spain. We of course need Pest, so that's one thing we need. That's the only location we need in Carpathia though. Next we need Milan from Spain. I don't think we'll need anything more from them in Italy though. That'll put us on 24 provinces, so we'll need 16. Let me just count the Tuscan ones. There's only 11 Tuscan provinces, so we'll need 5 more in the region. That should be enough. Then, of course, we need locations in the Maghreb. I think what we're going to have to do is likely declare war again on Austria immediately once we make peace, if we're going to complete our objective before the end of the game. One thing we could do is force Austria to end their... Or no, we can't. I was going to say we could force them to end their relationship with Spain. It would cost It would cost 100% war score, though, so likely isn't going to be a viable option. But we do need Maghrebi provinces. How many did we need? We need 6, and one of them has to be Tunis, so that would be enough for the Maghreb locations. Then we need French locations. We need Paris, for example. Then we need South German provinces. We need 11, not actually that many, because we've already taken quite a few, and one of them has to be Vienna. And then finally, what we'd need is Low Country locations. We already control 2. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to afford the 13 we need to take though. We're actually 1 short. We're going to be 1 short of the 13. And unfortunately no one else controls land in the Low Countries. So yes, we are going to have to re-attack Austria, unless there's a very cheap province here in the Low Countries that we could take, instead of taking these rather expensive ones. Let me actually just check. I think actually we might be able to. If we can rack up 100% war score, we should be able to actually achieve all of our goals in this one war. Wow, kind of crazy to say it, but it's possible. Even if it wasn't, we could take some of the land from Bohemia that they've taken off Austria that's in the which is in the South Germany. So that at least helps with that. It's going to be getting the 100% or close to 100% war score against Austria, which is likely going to be the issue. We'll see if we can't do it though. Right, we've defeated the Tuscans again. Look how fast that was when we were just fighting them on their own. We're going to let them live in the Balkans here just because they're not willing to surrender this land. I mean, come on now, let's just go kill them. Let's just finish them off. It's going to be annoying having to get over there and occupy that land, but we don't really want the Tuscans to continue to exist. We don't really want anyone to continue to exist. Alright, Tuscany, get out of my game. Glad to see the back of them. Their forts were definitely hard to siege down because of all of the modifiers they had. Spanish forts, on the other hand, are much easier and more pleasant to siege down. Thank you, Spain. As mentioned, that brought us within 6 provinces of completing the triumph for Italy. We just need to take those 6 provinces off of Spain/Austria. Here's a handy tip if you don't already know it. In those few situations when your vassals hand out all of their land to each other from occupying, you can hold shift, click on all of those provinces, and then switch them over to your control, or whoever's control, all at once instead of doing them manually, one at a time. Wonderful. Right, let's piece out Bohemia. take their southern part of the country. That gives us some more provinces in southern Germany. We're still just waiting on the Austrians/Spanish to say, you know, we've occupied nearly their entire nation. They just have a few miscellaneous territories outside of our control, like the island of Sardinia and Corsica, and then these few forts over in North Germany. But soon enough, they should say, oh, it's over, and surrender. All right, I think we've done it. Let me do a last check to ensure that we're going to get all the provinces we need. All right, I think we're going to get everything. If not, may I be struck down. And it looks like we did it. We did do it. We just need to be at peace now. We could fight Dithmarschen and take land from them, but why bother, right? Let's do that triumph because we're at peace now. We'll complete this mission. Arguably, we should have done this mission sooner because it buffed the Imperial Reconquest CB and made it cheaper to take land, but it's too late now. We now actually have the option of returning to Constantinople, which will allow us to integrate our exarchates for free. So we essentially move our capital to Constantinople, just start integrating all the exarchates we don't really want to keep around, and basically revive the Roman Empire or become a bigger European empire. We're going to stay in Elysium though, it's where we belong. We'll then complete the final mission, Elysia Ascendant, which will change our name and give us a new epoch event. Elysia, illustrious, unique Elysia. From beyond the seas you stand proud, unrivaled. Even your origins are noble. Way back to Aeneas, escaping from a burning Troy, and his descendants founding Rome, to the original empire, standing strong until old Roma was overtaken by Constantinople, whose walls would hold out the inevitable for 1,000 years. Such is the mantle you carry, the responsibility that rests on your shoulders. Unlike our forefathers, the land we call home has a much more recent history. Though at first glance, it had belonged to us for centuries. The cities that dot the coasts, our paved roads, forts, and of course, the palaces and churches that populate our capital. Once nothing but a refugee camp, now rises as a shining beacon of culture, wealth, and of course, power. Armies march to the sounds of chants and music. Architects design and engineers build marvels that wonder every foreigner whose sights are set upon. And on top of it all, our green gold flag flies proudly under the Atlantic winds. Has someone seen a civilization that has managed so much in so little time? Some would say that we Elysians are too ambitious. But what better field to grow ambition than heaven-delivered Elysium? It's from burgeoning Eros that the world knows fear and respects us. Ships come and go in the name of wealth and dominance. The magnificent cities of Presphorion, our great port and door to Neo-Constantinopolis, is just the first step towards the greater Elysian domination. Europe, the so-called Old World, is nothing but an extension of our manifested destiny, where not so long ago small kingdoms and nations squabbled over the ruins of our forefathers. Now, order and peace have been re-established. Even Africa and the dilapidated Levant now bask in the prosperity provided by Elysium's arms and laws. Some dare to compare us to Rome and the old empire, to Constantinople and its 1,000-year-old inheritance. We bow to both cities, recognizing their place in history and the part they played in our ancestry. But we have learnt from the past and now lay claim to the future. The reconquest is finished. Where Rome failed, we have prevailed. Our ancestors' debt is settled. A new era starts. Elysia's. The Pax Elysiana begins today. Rejoice, citizens. Our ruler leads the most magnificent triumph in all of Elysia's existence, celebrating the unshackling from our forefathers' failures. At last, we cast aside their shadow. Through the multiple forums, avenues, markets, and palaces of New Constantinopolis, the Empire's soldiers marched full of pride and ambition for the future, an Elysian future. At the end of the march, representatives await, carrying the banners of their independent realms. All of them kneel. Sweden, Denmark, Hungary, Revolutionary Turkey, Great Britain, Lithuania, Poland, Bohemia, Austria, and the rest have knelt to Elysia, as they recognise Constantinios, the 18th, as King of Kings, rulers of rulers. they may remain free for now. Everyone in the world loses aggressive expansion against us, and they all lose cores on us. And with that, we can complete the final mission, the Eternal Empire, giving us 3,000 splendor, letting us start another golden age, and giving us the naval and military hegemony bonuses as if we had those hegemonies, essentially allowing us to beat all 3 hegemonies at once. Wow, we did it, and before the 18th century as well. We were cutting it a little close, definitely a little close. We haven't conquered the whole world, obviously, but who is left? There's Russia, there's Turkey, then there's a few miscellaneous European nations. It's really too bad that Spain and Austria ended up with that personal union. It made things a lot more difficult than they really should have been. Outside of those ones, there's a few nations knocking around in Asia. There's Korea. We never did end up subjugating them. Then there's Shun. Never ended up subjugating them either. We just didn't need to, so I didn't bother. Then there's Congo. Again, we just never got round to it. And then there's these 2 nations here. They actually were allied with us for most of the game, or a large portion of the game. They were rather helpful, but I didn't end up subjugating them. And good old Morocco, they managed to survive it all. They actually ended up royal marrying me. I don't remember marrying them, but oh well. They know what's up. Also, Perm exists. I don't know how. Were they forced to release them? Russia, I mean. I don't remember Perm existing. Let me actually check the history for, let's say, their capital. Yes, it looks like they stopped being a core a few years ago. It must have been in the war between Austria and Russia, when Russia was disputing the inheritance of the Spanish throne. Austria must have forced them to release them. Funny to think about, though. For a second I was like, has Perm always been there? Could have been. Of course, we could keep playing and subjugating more of the world. Our exarchates go all the way up to about here. They do go into Central Asia a little bit, but not fully. So about here is where our exarchates end and the rest of the world begins. I do wish we had exarchates for the whole world. It'd be fun to just have really powerful vassals everywhere, obviously. We do have our protectorates, but they're just not as good as an exarchate would be, right? We didn't end up conquering all of South America just because of the ungodly Britain-Portugal alliance, which just made it very expensive to take any of this land, or all of it. And we had bigger fish to fry, right? If we dedicated time to it, we definitely could have. We could integrate Vinland and Spartania. It's going to take a while, though, because of the diplomatic annexation cost. We could reduce it further by grabbing this Integrated Administration Act. And we actually switched over so we don't have a parliament anymore, which means we can't grab the bonus letting us integrate land faster from a parliamentary issue. But even so, we could grab the religious or patron deity that does make integrating land a little faster. And of course the Nobles Integration Policy. A rather all over the place campaign. We did manage to win though. I honestly was thinking that I'd have to end up going beyond the end date, but it looks like we managed to get things done before then. Good job me, I guess. Thinking about it, personal unions kind of threw us off a bit in this game. We had the Spain-Austrian one and the Britain-Portugal one. The personal unions were just working against us. You could feel it. But I will now say thank you to the mod developers for creating this mod that I've played for literally years. I think I've played it for more than a decade at this point. I remember playing the very, very early version when it was just Byzantium in America, long before we had things like mission trees. So thanks to them for continuing to work on the mod, update it, occasionally add new content. And of course, thank you to you for watching this rather long playthrough. I knew we were going to be close to the end date, but we still cut it rather fine. I thought we'd get things done a lot sooner, maybe 100 years sooner. I do feel like I did things not as optimally as I've done in the past. It could just be that my memory of what actions I should take failed me. I think we should have started colonizing around Africa sooner, so that we could subjugate a lot of these African lands before the colonists showed up, allowing us to complete the blue branch a lot faster. If we completed the blue branch a lot faster, we would have got massive income a lot faster, which we then could have used to bankroll basically anything, right? If we'd had the amount of money and income we got from subjugating Asia, we could have spent a lot of money colonizing and colonized a lot faster by going over our colony limit. But I suppose it all worked out. So I'll say it again, thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video and this series, and I'll see you next time.